So cryptos are mooning today. What a beautiful day indeed. Well, why? Because in the morning of today, breaking from Watcher Guru, US inflation rises to 3%, lower than expectations. Okay, so this was fantastic news, which is why we're seeing cryptocurrencies go up, guys, especially XRP $2.50, very strong against Bitcoin right now. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to give an update to see what's happening with these charts because we're, by the way, at a critical point in time again. Okay, the last time we talked about this was a couple days ago, and previously we were all the way up there and it held the line, which is beautiful, and then we came back down, right? And everyone's happy about this, guys, but this was a rare exception, guys, because there was supposed to be no report coming out, right, due to the government shutdown, right? So it was a rare exception. They just wanted cryptos to pump, so they brought this news, which is fantastic. Because breaking, the White House says there will likely be no inflation report next month. You know it's bad when, right? But this shutdown should be ending quite soon. So the real truth to CPI or inflation is this: price increases over the last 5 years, right? So it's always gone up, guys, throughout the years here, right? So are we really trending downwards right now? The odds of 2 more interest rate cuts in 2025 surged to a record high of 85%. So look at this. So we have inflation coming down. Okay, that's the first check mark. Okay, then we have odds of 3 rate cuts in 2025. 3, reaching an all-time high of 85%. Wow. So the market believes that the Federal Reserve will cut 3 more times this year. If that appears, guys, explosive. That's another big fat check mark. What's number 3 here? The missing piece of the whole puzzle. You guys know, right? And it's the one that we have always waited for. It's what? Federal Reserve ends QT. The final check mark. Okay, so are we due for an imminent crypto explosion on the horizon? Well, we could tell by our chart here. Okay, and right now we're at a critical point in time, but I believe what they're doing here is setting the stage, right, for the coming explosion in 2026. I do believe like some type of explosion has to happen, guys, right? There's no way they end this crypto cycle without max euphoria. It's just nonsense to me, right? Nonsense. Just because if we're due for a collapse, I would think that they're going to explode every cryptos to unimaginable heights before the damn collapse even appears in the first place. Okay, so that's our whole theory. But for now, let's look at the short-term picture and what's about to happen to cryptocurrencies. So the last time we talked about this chart was where were we at? Let's see. I think right here, guys. Okay, I believe we were talking about how we need to save this liquidity. Right? Look at this. So I believe. Okay, so previously we were right here, I believe. Okay. And I said we need to save this liquidity, right, for later, not now. Because if they go for this liquidity now, right, this thing would have just gone up like that. So they held the line, right? From that point onwards, we were dumping, guys. We have been dumping, right? Or at least on this chart, which means cryptos are pumping, right? Cryptos do the inverse of this chart, guys. Okay, so, and here's a video, guys. So we know, and here's the video. Wow, we were at $2.33 for XRP. This was a couple days ago, by the way, right, where I stated this. So this is a USDT.dominant chart, okay? Now, do you guys notice something that's happening with this chart or no? Exactly, liquidity is being built up to the upside, right? If this chart goes above this previous wick, guys, XRP is going to like $2. Okay, because it's not going to stop. It's going to go for the liquidity upwards. But if this chart somehow stops below this level, okay, it somehow stops below this level, wherever it may be from here, that's fantastic because they're going to come for this later, right? So if they dumped it from here, they're going to come for this liquidity later, maybe in the weeks or months from now, right? Which means crypto should be bottoming out quite soon if that's the case, guys. So that's what I'm going to bet on, right, on XRP. Okay, so we were right here. We were right here. Oops. We're right there, guys. Okay, and from there we have been dumping, which XRP has been exploding, right? Which is fantastic to see, but this is where it gets dangerous. Okay, this is where we have to talk about XRP and how this comes into play, Reason being is because, check this out. Where are we at right now, guys? When we look at our North Star chart, right? Well, we're at a critical point of time. We're at a critical point in time where this decision needs to be made. Okay? Where we're at resistance right now. And this is large resistance. How many times do they hold this area as resistance and support? Multiple different times. Right? This is the one level that XRP needs to break above for it to be bullish. If it somehow stays below 250 again, okay, it's around this region at 252 cents. If it somehow stays below this level, it's going to be bearish, because that means we're in a range here, right? The next support will be at 220. But I think we still need to hold up in this region, guys, right? Remember, this USDT dominant chart, by the way, okay, this chart must not go below this wick. I mean, must not go above this wick right there, right? If it does, they're going to make it go higher. Okay, it must stay below that wick. For XRP, we need to go above 252. Okay, this resistance line. Because if it doesn't, that's bad news bears, which means it's going to get rejected again. Right? If we do somehow go above it, next resistance will be at 270. Then from there, it will be at $3. Okay? That's for XRP. Now, let's go to Bitcoin's chart. Okay, so Bitcoin is having a lot of trouble. Right? A bunch of trouble, in fact, because we held the line, yes, but we're at resistance right now, guys, on the lock chart, right, of our North Star for guide for Bitcoin. Right, you guys can see held multiple times as support. When it broke through, it's now holding this range as resistance. Bad news bears. We need to go above this level, which is around 113K for Bitcoin. Okay, 2 levels to watch out for. 113K for Bitcoin must go above. If it doesn't, it's bad news, because it means we're turning support, okay, into resistance. Okay, which means continuation downwards. If that's the case, guys, we need to hold this level as support, not resistance. We need to go above. Okay, 113K for Bitcoin needs to go above. $2.52 for XRP. We need to go above those two certain levels. That's it. And a moon will appear. Right. Oh, not to mention our USDT, that dominant chart, by the way, on the RSI, fantastic. Okay, we have seen the triple bearish divergence playing out right now. Okay, which we need continuation here. So that's all we need to see. Now, another explosive news we've seen today from JP Morgan. They are allowing its institutional clients to use Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral for loans as crypto continues to get absorbed into Wall Street's plumbing. Nice scoop from, and yet another example of life moves pretty fast. So supposedly JP Morgan comes out with their plans to allow institutional clients to use their holdings of Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral for loans by the end of the year, in a significant deepening of Wall Street's crypto integration. Wait a second. That's a little crazy, because that means you could put up your Bitcoin, if you have Bitcoin or Ethereum, right, which are basically the two worst coins in my honest belief here, for loans. Okay, as collateral for loans. Now, that's a beautiful option, but on the other side, that's a bad thing. You know why? What will happen if cryptos were to collapse? Right? Yeah, I don't think that's that would be looking too pretty there. Right? So it is risky, but the chances of cryptos collapsing, as some or as most think, it's impossible. Right? There's no chance of that happening. But as we do believe, it will happen at some point. Right? So I wouldn't do this. In fact, even though it seems, it looks shiny, but still, I think there's a dangerous. This is something dangerous, guys. Right? And it's not to be played about. The program offered globally will rely on a third-party custodian to safeguard the pledged tokens, according to people familiar with the matter. And So the expansion underscores how quickly crypto is being pulled into the financial system's core plumbing. With Bitcoin rallying this year and the Trump administration rolling back regulatory hurdles, major banks are starting to bring digital assets deeper into the lending system. Again, I don't know why they didn't include XRP. If it was for XRP, that would be the best option, right? They only had to add two here, Bitcoin and Ether, but I'm guessing later on they'll include XRP, especially in that new financial system. So imagine you hold XRP right now and XRP explodes to 4 digits, right? Then you could do whatever the hell you want with life at that point. Plus, you could loan out your XRP, you guys, or get loans, right? Put your XRP for collateral, and there's gonna be a bunch of different options, right? Different products, different things, guys, to serve you in any financial system, right? So it's fantastic. It's fantastic to see the rails being built, but in my opinion, Bitcoin and Ether, no. From Grayscale, with GDLC, the first U.S. diversified crypto index ETP, investors can now gain exposure to 90% of the crypto markets in one ticker, right? Because there's a bunch of coins in this one basket, guys, which an investor, a client, can buy, right? If they want the diversified option here. This launch is one more in our history of firsts to markets in every year of the last 12 plus years, right? Continuing our track record of innovation in digital assets. Fantastic. So we've seen a launch of this, guys, happening. Yep. Again, amazing to see, guys, right? Amazing to see. Honestly, I think this would be the best option for someone who's not too risk right? Who doesn't want to take as much risk as possible, because even if every crypto collapses and you're in this and XRP is within this basket, I'm pretty sure XRP would save your portfolio, basically. Okay. Then, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says he met with 25 senators in the past 2 days to get crypto market structure legislation done. There it is. So everything is moving fast now. What will happen? Well, watch for 250 for XRP, 113k, 252 for XRP, 113k for Bitcoin. That's it. We need to go above those levels. Moon has appeared. If not, lower we go. Let's see what comes up next. Now, nature advice. Things are getting exciting though. What is this? So, see ya.